Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Eric Cedar-Strum, and we're live from the Hole in the Ceiling studios in beautiful Deer Valley. I will add vacant Deer Valley again. This place is cleaning out. It looks like the invasion of the body snatchers out here, and we're live on this 5th day of May 2020, the year of our Lord. And this show is brought to you by the Patriot Trading Group. Legal, lawful, constitutional tender, gold and silver, tangible items, things that are real, things that you take possession of. This is not a receipt that we send you. We can't fax it to you. We can't email it to you. We can't text it. It has to be procured. Items that have been around for thousands of years that have protected people's wealth, and they can help you to call 1-800-951-0592. You can also head out to the website 24/7, 365 at allamericangold.com. Updated daily. It's amazing what you can do there and while away the wee hours of the evening. I'm joined with Joe Jaquint, president of Patriot Trading Group. It's unprecedented times we live in. Joe, I'm watching Joe battle with running the company and dealing with the banks, and the banks have just lost their minds. I mean, their inability to help people. The movie Idiocracy is what the bank tellers have turned into. It is amazing. I mean, what? They have no idea. I had to make a deposit yesterday, and you can't go in the bank. So you have to get in line at one of the few drive-in windows that are even open for a major bank chain. You got to wait forever. You get there. Do you think there's if you see people mulling around in the bank, they're getting paid. How many people are working the window? One. Good morning, Joe Jaquint. How are you doing?
Hey, Eric. Good morning to you. I know Jason was in line and at his bank, and apparently the time ran out.
The time ran out.
Yes, the bank closed, and
they don't get the people in line?
No, there's nobody out there saying you're the last car in line.
You're
apparently,
we're closed?
We're closed. Come back tomorrow.
This is what happens with bailed out institutions. You think the airlines, by the way, are planning, I think some are going to sell you a social distancing seat. Have you seen that?
I can't wait for that charge.
That's pretty good.
You know, the airlines, though, they're all planning too, so they got government bailouts. So there was some conditions to the bailouts. One of them was you couldn't fire anybody through September. So now
the PPP loans,
right now the airlines have all of them are all making announcements on October 1st.
You're fired.
We're laying off all these people.
Who was it today? United Airlines?
United Airlines today. Massive layoffs coming. Remember Wendy's, the Where's the Beef commercial?
Yep.
Right, great commercial.
The old lady. I don't think there's anybody back there.
Where's the beef?
Right.
Well, apparently Wendy's is out of beef.
That's advertising gold.
Yeah, they're saying now that over a fifth of all Wendy's locations is out of beef.
They have to get it open. They got to get everything open again. Unfortunately, let me tell you, this virus was designed to kill off the elder, and it's going to kill off the elder right. So the people that are out, or just the right wing in general, the people that are out protesting the right, the conservative rights, open up. The small business owners, okay, the PPP, which protects the people and their unemployment, the people who sign the fronts of the checks are the conservatives. The people who sign the backs, those are the liberals. If you're a liberal and you're a teacher, you're home, you're getting paid. If you're a government, if you're getting the $840 unemployment because you worked for a fact, you're at home. Okay, the conservatives, the small business owners, the ones that pay the taxes, there's 30 million small business owners. They have to go back to work.
I don't know how this is all going to play out.
It's going to kill them. They're going to drop dead like flies.
So the PPP loans, that's an 8-week deal. So you've got to spend the money on the payroll. So let's just hypothetically say you got your money May 1st. By July 1st, the money needed to be spent. So if you happen to get it May 1st, as an example, Arizona, the restaurants, not the bars, the restaurants. Now, if you're a bar restaurant, you can open, but if you're just a bar, you can't open. They're supposed to open Monday.
Right.
And
the governor rolled over yesterday.
Yes. Finally rolled over with social distancing and all that. But what's going to happen after July 1st? I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. All these people are going to get laid off again.
Right. Well, this is the issue. So the small business has to open or go under. They're going to open. they're probably going to go under, or they're all going to get infected. The CDC says 200,000 infections in the United States per day by the end of this month. Believe it or not, don't kill the messenger. Joe doesn't agree, but this is what the CDC is saying. You open this up, we're going to have 200,000 new cases every day in America by the end of this month. Let's hope that's not the case. Or you're going to have to get a sticker on your car that says, I had it. So it means I've had it. Or you can put the same sticker on your tombstone. Okay, so it serves the same point. So,
and you know what's the one I'm watching today? Wall Street's up 400 points, and it was so funny. Warren Buffett yesterday. You can say what you want, whether you like him, hate him, right? I don't like him, but the guy is a vulture. Okay, Warren Buffett, and you can put him up on the pedestal, right? The Mutual of Omaha, the best investor of our lifetimes. The guy was a vulture, right? He buys companies at cheap valuations.
Nothing wrong with that.
And let me tell you this. You know how much stock he's bought?
None.
Zero.
He's out. He's out of the market completely.
Talking about how overvalued and the PE ratios. And people are criticizing him now, right? So they're out on TV bashing him. It's kind of interesting to see. Oh, he missed out on Apple and he missed out on Amazon. And Warren Buffett fired back. I didn't miss out on anything.
Well, these are going to be the good old days. But I told you Wall Street would rally on stimulus, did we not? And I tell you everything was going up, did I not? Gold is just hanging around. Gold's going to have its up $1,000 day. And you're going to be here to see it. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back. Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Eric Cedarstrom. Thanks for tuning in. It's Cinco de Mayo. Wouldn't you know Cinco de Mayo would show up on a Taco Tuesday? Why, we're all battling with coronas. That's your Spanish lesson.
Well, this is a huge Cinco de Mayo.
Pretty good. So, anyway, the governor figured out that the people who sign the front of his checks are the people that vote for him.
Yeah.
The people that sign the back don't. So
the protest works. It does.
But governor, you got to think what a governor is. I'm a motorhead. My first experience with a governor, I think I was about 6 years old, where we took the lawnmower apart and made our first power go-kart called the Blue Angel with my brother. And the first thing you do is take the governor off so the motor can run. So that's what a governor does. I mean, the governor is, to regulate everything. But here in Arizona, I'm talking about, sorry for people worldwide or globally or wherever you're listening, that he threatened everybody with fines, $2,500 fines, 6 months in jail, and your liquor license. A week ago, something happened. So I don't know what it is. He was quite contrite yesterday. So we're going to all go back. So you got probably half the country in complete denial, and that this is really a pandemic. And I'm not saying who's right and who's wrong, but I think ultimately once we get open here, it's all going to be like it was in California. The people that just run out, or if the virus is going to continue, it's just going to propagate, and everybody's going to have to lock down again. So, or the herd, we talked about this, the herd immunity, which will work. It'll just, it's just going to happen quicker. That's all. So you figure it out. But these are the good old days. I told you stocks were going to go up, oil skyrocketing. What did I tell you a week ago, 2 weeks? People listen, what did I say? Did I say oil? I said no. I said it's all going to go up. Gold's going to have its shot. The price of meat, price of groceries, price of gasoline. You're going to see tax increases, which are already on the table. Trump came out today and he says it's not fair to bail out states. This is a huge problem. When this debate gets going, when Nancy Pelosi and the war starts on Twitter here, this is going to become a massive debate because they need trillions of dollars.
I really don't know how this really is going to work because I don't see it. You got to have these budgets by July 1st, and it's impossible to think that they can get out without bailouts of some sort. I talked about Nashville. Hey, we want to raise property taxes 32%, but that wouldn't be enough. Right, that's still not enough. Right, that's not enough revenue for these states to come back. I would imagine every bill you have, water bills, power bills, trash bills, sewer bill, this bill, that bill, got to have some kind of extra tax on it to be made up. You talked about grocery prices rising, the price of beef. Last week we told you how the price of beef had hit a record of $331 per 100 pounds. This is kind of wholesale meat processing pricing. Today, it's now $410. It is more than doubled now, almost 120% increase in the price of beef in the last 4 weeks.
Well, just get ready. I told you, the money is starting to hit. They're going to monetize. They're going to have to re-stimuli again here, even with an open economy. Just get ready. We'll be at $30 trillion here by the end of summer. President Trump says he's not going to support bailouts for cash-strapped states because the practice is not fair to the Republicans. During an interview in the New York Post, Trump was asked about coronavirus relief or whether states are entitled to receive federal aid that's not related to the virus. I think Congress is inclined to do a lot of things, but I didn't think they're inclined to do bailouts, Trump said. A bailout is different than, reimbursing for the plague. It's not fair to the Republicans because all of the states that need help, by the way, they're all sanctuary states, are run by Democrats in every case. Florida's doing phenomenal. Texas is doing phenomenal. The Midwest is, fantastic. But Trump added, you look at Illinois, you look at New York, you look at California, those three. There's tremendous debt there and many others. But
let me tell you, I got news for Mr.
I don't think he's well-versed.
The president. Florida, Texas, they're not doing phenomenal, and neither is the Midwest. Now, does that mean that are they better than Illinois and New York and New Jersey? Yes, but yeah, phenomenal, not the right word.
When I tell you a tough job, you think you have a tough job no matter what you do, whatever you're doing out there. If you're elbow deep in a commode right now, you think you have a tough job. I mean, if you're, working at McDonald's or Jack in the Box or whatever it is you're doing, you're out working in the fields, you got us on, listening to us on your phone, it could be worse. I saw a company trying to sell municipal tax-free bonds this morning on TV. Now, if you really are dumb enough to think that the cities, you're going to get a tax-free muni and the city can pay you back, I've got a bridge for you. Better yet, we have Lincoln commemorative medallions. Would even be better. But allowing U.S. states to file for bankruptcy now is not the way to deal with deep financial problems. The governments are facing the COVID-19 economic disaster, according to the municipal bond market research at Bank of America. In a research report, B of A said the $3.8 trillion muni market, where states, cities, schools, and other issues sell debt, will certainly sell off when they file for bankruptcy and will become completely illiquid. U.S. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell last Wednesday brought up the state bankruptcy as a preferred alternative to sending more federal money to the governments to plug their budget holes. So, the issue is if the states, they can't file bankruptcy, right? We already determined that. You'd have to change the Constitution.
Cities.
But the cities can default on their debt. So the municipal bonds they default on. Remember Lindsey Williams, I don't know if he's listening, local, didn't he say his father bought municipal bonds in Ocala, Florida? I believe he told us that story. And then they defaulted on them. So anyway, the municipal bonds, the issue. Now don't forget, the Federal Reserve through fractional banking took $450 billion of the stimulus, the 2.3 stimulus, which was, I lose track. Was it stimulus 1.0, 2.0, 3.5?
2.2 trillion was stimulus 3.
Stimulus 3.
Then we had stimulus 3.5.
So they took that stimuli, they gave it to the feds. Now under fractional banking, the feds can deposit it and loan it out 10 times.
Yeah, so the Treasury Department, they took
like 100 times.
Yeah, 10 times, $400 billion. I think it was $423 billion.
And they backstopped.
And they allowed the Federal Reserve to fractionalize that. So the Federal Reserve is buying bonds for $4.2 trillion worth of bonds. Now the $423 billion, that's for the losses that the central bank thinks they're going to take on buying these bonds. Because a lot of these bonds they're buying are municipal bonds. Yes.
They've backstopped the muni bond market. So I guess.
And the housing market, right? All of it. You know what? No one's talking about. We got this I don't know, whatever you want to call it, everyone be happy type rally that's happening out there. And nobody's telling us how many more people didn't make payments in May. Notice how you haven't heard a word about it.
Pretty quiet.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that. There is a little news on it. But we're staying on the debt markets, the bond markets. Sorry, Joe is completely flummoxed here this morning. The bond markets and the feds are backstopping the municipal bond market. Now, let's not forget the cities. The cities and the states in this country are the people. These are the people that said, okay, well, we want illegals in here. We want to give them everything. We want to give them phones, houses. Now the illegals have taken over in the commie cities and states here. They're all getting the hotels. I mean, it's amazing what's happened. The homeless, it's amazing. So these are the people that have told the federal government, we don't want ICE. We don't want to allow them in our institutions. We don't want them in our states. Okay, these are the same people that now need government money, federal money to backstop their debt. Their pensions are insolvent. With an equity market crash further from here, it would get even worse. But I'm standing by the hyperinflation. I mean, you just watch what happens. Watch what happens to the dollar here when I don't know. By the time we get to stimulus 7.5, which we'll be at by Thanksgiving, and they'll have released God knows how many trillions of electronic Federal Reserve notes. The Treasury Department says they're going to need to borrow now. They're going to need to issue bonds for $2.99 trillion for the current quarter. Just for the quarter, not the year.
$3 trillion.
$3 trillion for the quarter. April to June quarter. Now, that all sounds, that's a tall order. You got to get someone to buy it.
To put this in perspective, that is the equivalent of pretty much the entire tax base. Last year, I want to say, as a country, the federal government collected $3.3 trillion total.
Think about that.
This
is just for one quarter.
We're going to borrow.
We're going to borrow that.
We're going to borrow. So you know that there's there's at least another, I don't know, let's call it $600-700 billion that was coming in. So between what came in plus what they're going to borrow, that exceeds all of the money for the whole year.
You know what's funny? They keep trying to equivalate this to World War II. They even wrote articles on Bubble Vision on the eve of the biggest boom in the U.S. bond sale market ever since World War II. Really, they sold $2.99 trillion of bonds. I bet they didn't sell 35 million of bonds in World War II in a quarter.
The entire World War II debt for the whole war. Okay, so really, we started getting ready, kind of in the early 40s for the whole war, maybe even the late 30s. The whole war is $250 billion.
Think about that. And then
that was the whole war.
And it correlated to goods and services.
And what people don't realize is from the end of World War II all the way to 1971, we ran almost just as many budget surpluses as we did budget deficits. And I actually misspoke. I want to clarify this. The national debt stood at $250 billion after World War II. They didn't spend all $250 billion of it in World War II. I think they spent about half of that, about $125 billion for the actual war. They had some other debts, from the Great Depression and all of those things. But you think about this. Now we ran after the big increase. We started running budget surpluses. We're not running any budget surpluses. I mean, what's going to come next? They're already talking about, hey, listen, 2021, let's pretend that year doesn't happen either because we're going to need trillions more that year and trillions more than the year after that and trillions and trillions and trillions. I don't know where, I do know where it ends. Hyperinflation, new money.
Well, this is what's interesting because after World War II, we were able to convert all our factories that built tanks and jeeps and weapons and planes.
We had to rebuild the world.
Right. They were able to switch and make cars and clothes and fabricate houses.
And all this stuff to rebuild Europe, to rebuild all of the devastation that was called. We were running huge trade surpluses. I mean, we were doing a lot of things.
Yeah, everybody owed us money.
Everybody had to buy everything in dollars. I mean, Bretton Woods.
Now the anti-Chinese movement, which is becoming quite large in this country, and people say, buy American. Yeah, well, I tried to figure out. The microphone I'm talking to is in China. The computer I'm looking at, China. Yep, the cup I'm drinking out of's got an American name, made in China. My shirt, my shoes. I mean, anything that I look at's made in China. So how are we going to retool? It isn't like we just won a war.
I would like to know what's happening in Europe. What's happening in Asia? What's happening in Australia? Do they all have that same stance, or is it just us?
Maybe they're building Jeeps.
Right?
Maybe Europe and China are building Jeeps, and they're going to invade us. Who knows? Take a Radio News Hour halftime. Cinco de Mayo. Uno más cerveza.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, the conservative pro-family broadcast of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, a leading voice for the sanctity of life, traditional education, the Constitution, and American sovereignty. Now, here's the president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, Ed Martin.
Democrats blamed Senator Bernie Sanders for Hillary Clinton's loss to President Trump in 2016. You've got to wonder, if establishment Democrats were so worried about Bernie spoiling the race in 2016, why did they let him get so far in 2020? Liberal Democrats have only themselves to blame. They stoked the flames of class warfare to try to bring down Donald Trump. Their flames of discontent only backfired into an inferno within their own party. The only thing the establishment Democrats had going for them, besides their billions of dollars and their vice-like grip on party officials, was the rejection of Sanders by older African-American voters. Sanders had much greater success with Hispanics than with African Americans, and no one seems interested in getting to the bottom of why this is. Pundits pretend that Biden inherits the support blacks had for Obama, but Biden was VP more than 3 years ago now. I don't think voters care about Biden's time in the White House at this point. Illegal immigration is a major reason for the huge divide in Sanders' support. Black voters in South Carolina won't support Sanders' agenda to open our southern border and let hordes of low-income workers come in. Latinos are more enthusiastic about Bernie's demand that driver's license be given nationwide to illegal aliens, plus more taxpayer-funded entitlements for them. Bernie swept Nevada after pandering to illegals in a way that does not sell to Democrats of any race in the southern part of America. Again, you can place the blame for that squarely on the establishment Democrats. They're the ones who fight so hard to get the hordes of illegals inside our borders. They may be solidly Democrat, but that doesn't mean they have any loyalty to the establishment. Ironically, if establishment Democrats want to keep their power from falling into the hands of insurgents like Bernie Sanders, their best bet would be to join conservatives in fighting against illegal immigration. This may be their best play, but I'm not holding my breath. The Democrat deal with the devil of open borders runs deep into the party structure at this point. If you want secure borders, you're better off looking elsewhere with your vote.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report with Ed Martin, president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. For 50 years, Mrs. Schlafly promoted grassroots efforts to rally conservatives. Today, you can harness the power of social media by going to phyllisschlafly.com and sharing these commentaries with friends across the country. Get started at phyllisschlafly.com. Thanks for listening, and join us again for the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
Yes, Radio News Hour. Gold is your financial Jeep. The Jeep won World War II. You know, Hitler had a sense of humor. Not many people know that. He tried to order Jeeps in Detroit, said he'd pick them up on his way through. Didn't work out too well for him. But anyway, in the decades now, primary dealers, the Billionaire Boys Club, the elite, the private, these are the Davos, Switzerland. These are the people that the bond club that handles U.S. debt. There's so much of it now, they can't handle it anymore. So for decades, the firm known as primary dealers have sat at the nexus of the Treasuries market, buying newly issued bonds to disseminate throughout financial markets and trading directly with the Federal Reserve. The relationship has helped the Fed implement its policy goals, yet the implosion now of recent months of debt suggests that the group is under tremendous duress. Dominated by big banks like J.P. Morgan Chase and Goldman Sachs, the 24 primary dealers are struggling to keep money moving within the core of the global finance during the coronavirus panic in March. The Fed deploys a series of unprecedented interventions in response. One proposed solution now is to end Wall Street's monopoly on the club membership. bond giant Pacific Investment Management Company. You might know them as PIMCO. That asset manager should be included in the group. And they'll benefit the Newport Beach, California firms, and it'll add trillions of dollars to the collective firepower of primary dealers. Certainly increasing the number of dealers will be useful since they expect more and more bond issuance of beyond the $3 trillion for this quarter. $3 trillion. $3 trillion. The federal debt load is going to rise by between the March and June in these bond auctions. So
it's incredible.
Nah, it's not inflationary. Not going to help gold. Why would gold go up?
I mean, the debt right now, we're at $25 trillion, $3 more trillion. Now, some of it's already been spent. I mean, wow, the number's just getting bigger and bigger. And I think they're right. I mean, absolutely. I mean, if we're going to have, best case scenario, I said $27 trillion before the end of the year. Okay, that's gone, right? I mean, they're going to borrow $3 trillion this quarter. That's gone. So best case scenario, gone. I said the worst case scenario was $30 trillion by the end of the year. Now that looks to me like that's the best case scenario, right? That looks like
$30 trillion.
That's probably
best case. And we haven't had anything now for 10 days, so because
Congress was gone.
Right, they won't come back. They won't test. I mean, it's amazing. But ultimately, the states are going to have to do something. New York, they're all borrowing money now for unemployment. They don't have it. So. But they said Scottsdale is going to be voted the best quarantine city in America. Did you see that?
I did not.
Didn't see that?
No.
This is kind of a big deal. So if you have to be quarantined by the New World Order...
Oh, the best place to be
quarantined. Right, to be.
Oh, that I agree with.
Right, well, you live there.
Because that's where I live. And outside, yes, the bars and restaurants are closed. But you know what? I can't tell you the last time I even went to Old Town Scottsdale and hung out there. That's just not what I do. But the
courses are open.
Other than that, golf courses are open.
You can go hike the mountains.
The hiking in the mountains are open. I mean, it's been a nice spring out. It's gotten hot as you know what out there. But outside of that,
that's beautiful. I love the heat. So Zillow now warning home prices will plunge 2 to 3% this year amid the seemingly endless coronavirus chaos.
So let me get this right. We don't know the number yet. Going into May, there was over 4 million mortgages not being paid. And we know that number has gone up. And let's just, let's be conservative. Let's just say, okay, somewhere around 5 million mortgages not being paid. And the price is only going to go down 2%.
Well, it's interesting they'd say that because in the next paragraph they said real estate listing company also predicts a very fast 50 to 60% decline in home sales. That'll bottom by the end of spring. Now, the great recovery everybody's looking at, they say, is not going to come till 2021. As a comparison, home prices dropped more than 27% nationally during the Great Recession, which they hit a little more than that out here. Phoenix was 48%. Arizona, 48%.
It's just interesting math. I don't know. Could be. I don't know. But when, we saw it here last time, like Eric said, the prices fell by half, and now they're saying, we have more people not paying mortgages right now than we did at any month of the housing crash, i.e. a financial crisis, and yet somehow it's only going to be down 2%.
Well, here's the problem. The bailed-out banks don't want the mortgage business at below 3%. They don't want it.
Or they won't even write it.
They don't even want to write it. So, now, unbailed-out banks, let's say you're a young guy, with a master's in business administration, and you're like, I'd like to get a bank charter, take a crack at this mortgage business. They're not going to let you do it anymore. It doesn't happen. It's all run by bailed-out gigantic corporations. Why? How many banks did we have? The number was just unbelievable in this country.
Well, we had 18,000 banks in the 80s.
Right. Yeah.
We have less than 5,000 of them left today.
And dropping.
Right. And so it's really interesting how this is going to work. And the problem is in that if you take out the top 100 banks, okay, which, believe me, by the time you get to like the 39th largest bank, the 42nd largest bank, most of us would be like, who? right? We don't even know who they are. But when you get out of the top 100, a lot of these other banks, they're the ones that are stuck with a lot of this stuff.
Well, we'll just look and see what happens here. Zillow goes on. The real estate listing company notes it's basing its forecast on proprietary data and a baseline prediction of a 4.9% decrease in U.S. GDP in 2020, a subsequent 5.7% increase in 2021. Unless, of course, the CDC is right, and you get 200,000 new cases a day starting in June. Housing fundamentals are strong, and much so more than we were leading into the Great Recession, and that bodes well for housing in general, said Svenja Gudel, Zillow's chief economist. She told CNBC. Despite the difficulties, we're seeing several signs that there are still a good amount of demand for housing, and buyers, sellers, and agents are growing more comfortable moving transactions forward where possible. So I don't know where the governor stands with reopening real estate offices. Technically, they weren't closed, but all the major corporations had shut them down, and unless you had to get in there. But no gatherings, no meetings, no staff. I mean, it's amazing. Somehow, ultimately, if they just keep monetizing everything, that runaway inflation works its way into the real estate markets as well. And I believe, and Nouriel Roubini, I talked about him yesterday. He's called a lot of things right. That it's what we're going to see, and you're starting to see it. You're just starting to see it in certain areas. So, look at what happens when you just throw a lot of money at one thing, and like an N95 mask.
Right.
So now equate that to gold. Okay, gold would be at, 28,000, 35,000 an ounce. Of course, that'll only happen if panic sets in. Which, that'll never happen. You're listening to Patriot Radio News Hour. Gold and silver. Monetizing. These are the good old days. We're going to go, remember back, gold was only $1,700 an ounce and they were trying to open the U.S. economy. We'll be back. Patriot Radio News Hour, 1-800-951-0592 is our order line. Hadn't added to your portfolio. Take advantage of the momentarily sane quietness in the markets, because I don't think they're going to last. I piece by piece documented the decimation, the socioeconomic destruction of American factories, American industries. We watched the Clintons and the NAFTA-matics dissemble America and take it all apart, ship it out as well, and send it to Mexico and then the commies in China. Now you're witnessing, I'm going to be here to document the undoing of it. Senator Josh Hawley, Republican out of Missouri, is now calling for an end to the World Trade Organization. His comments came in a column posted by New York Times today. The coronavirus emergency is not only a public health crisis, he said, with 30 million Americans unemployed, but it's also an economic crisis and has exposed the hard truth about the modern global economy. It weakens American workers and has empowered China's rise. Now, nobody gave a crap at all about this when I was doing this in the 90s, when they put in NAFTA and they put in GATT, and I said, they're going to take it all apart. They're going to use U.S. taxpayer retirement accounts, and they're shipping everything out of here. Everybody looked and said, so? Well, it's going to make, we're going to sell them. We don't want those jobs. We don't want them. Remember that? We don't want to be saddled with manufacturing jobs. Well, we can't win a war. You think they're going to give them up? You think they're just going to give them, you're going to dismantle the World Trade Organization? China's over there like, oh, yeah, we're really scared.
I'm going to go back to when you talked about, the war drums beating with China and we want to bring it all back, right? And Trump's making this push. And I asked you the question. You think anybody else feels this way? Right? Does England feel this way? Do the French? Do the Germans? How about the Australians? What about the Japanese? And then I saw it. England is using Huawei for their 5G.
Right. And there you go.
Trump has lost it. He's like, that's it. We're pulling all of our spy planes. We're gonna. If you do this, we're pulling out. Right? We're done being, your friend or this or that or the other. I mean, this is the problem. You see, the rest of the world, we view China as the enemy, and I get that. The rest of the world doesn't seem to feel nearly as strong about that as we do.
Well, Hawley says we should abolish the WTO. He said the organization has allowed nations to maintain trade barriers, protectionist workarounds like China, while preventing others from defending themselves like the United States.
Remember the Great Depression?
No.
Right? Remember what they said about the Great Depression? Oh, the tariffs. That's
Smoot-Hawley.
Right, the Smoot-Hawley Act. God, how terrible it was. So many things that correlate to them. The same things are happening again. You know, they're always different, but yet so similar.
Hawley said the WTO has required U.S. workers to compete against forced labor in China and has done nothing to halt the theft of American intellectual property and products by the Chinese. Enough is enough, he said. The WTO should be abolished, and along with it, the new model global economy. The quest to turn the world into a liberal order of democracies was always misguided, and he added that this is an opportunity to build something better, a better international order and a better economy and a better future for America. Wait a minute, not make America great again. You know, let's not forget
that.
Ron Paul wanted to do the same thing.
Don't you say that.
Ron Paul wanted to do the same thing.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'll go back to Richard Nixon. Right, and whether he was part of it or they tricked him in there. Don't worry about us going off the gold standard, ladies and gentlemen. Everything will be fine as long as America buys American. And look at, here we are, 40, 50 years later, and we're reaping what we sow. That's exactly what's happened.
You know, I have a great idea, because Joe was telling me, and I found it at Wall Street Journal, that Carnival wants to start cruises again. Can you believe this?
August 1st.
August 1st?
They want to have cruise ships from Texas and Florida. I'm going to say this right now. Listen, I don't care. You want to open up, open up. You want to get on those boats, get on the boats. But there's got to be a rule, at least as far as I'm concerned. Number one, you got to sign away your right to sue the cruise industry.
Oh, that has to be automatic.
Right? Number two, anybody gets sick, you stay out there this time.
You're not getting off.
You're not getting off.
Do you think does Carnival have a hospital ship that follows it around? So that would be great.
You take that ship that left New York and California, right? The Comfort and the Mercy can follow them around.
Now, I like Norwegian cruise lines. Now
they're just saying they're going under.
That is where my ancestors came from. When we got off the cruise, my ancestors, we ravaged the cities and killed the men. Now, we could do that again and say we're Americans. So we can put these Carnival cruise boats full of Vikings, and we can all head over there and get our America back where it belongs. So,
wow.
Take our factories back. We can dismantle them, put them on the cruise lines, and bring them back.
We're taking this back. Right?
We're taking it back.
We're not pillaging and stealing the gold. No, we want the factory equipment back.
I remember doing a shortwave show. My brother restored old Rockola jukeboxes and Seabergs, and I have a 57 Rockola in my living room that he gave me, and it has the round beveled glass. And all you people, products of the 50s, you'll remember the round beveled glass. And on this particular machine, it was broken. And they made it in Missouri. You could actually get the glass, and they made it. And this was in probably 95. We're doing the radio show. We went to order it, and the company was gone, and they went to China. And the guy said, he goes, yeah, we're done. It was like their last day. They were still answering the phone. He goes, by the way, the last machine that makes this glass went to China with it. The machine there wasn't even a machine that could make this rounded beveled glass. When I was up in Alaska fishing in the 90s with Captain John in Southeast, they were dismantling a sawmill. Of course, right on the water. And John and I went up. They were taking it apart. He goes, yeah, they closed it, months ago. But they were taking it apart. Guess where they sent it? Mm-hmm. Sent all the machinery. That people don't understand that what happened to this country is not the intellectual property, but it's the physical ability. We can't go to war with China. Forget it. We'd have to wait like a year for them to arm us and to get us uniforms and boots and shoes. And we need the technology pieces, and we need the rare earth minerals. We can't go to war with them. We gave it all away. It's gone. And I told you we'd want it back someday. You're witnessing that today. They're not going to give it up without a fight. We did, but they won't. We'll be back. Welcome to all our tinfoil right-wing wackos out there. I'm your leader. I appreciate you taking time out of your lives. We work hard to get the show. The show must go on. In spite, we're running businesses here, and things are going on. Phones ringing, people running in and out. It's interesting. I'm glad to be a part of it. We got a beautiful special for you today. You can pick up a U.S. legal, lawful, constitutional tender $20 gold piece. You know, when the sun sets and these vanish, and they will, when they vanish, that less than, 1/10 of 1% of the population will ever get to hold one, ever. And I'm so proud of the fact that we have helped place these in homes all over this country. And you get opportunity. Plus, we still have some of these, and we didn't know. But I was looking in the vault the other day, and we had miscounted, and we actually still have some of those beautiful, brilliant, uncirculated, amazing late 1800s, early 1900s U.S. Morgan dollars. So, and they come in rolls at 20. They're $35 a coin. You can get a roll for $700. But
which is cost, by the way, today.
Yeah,
this is how quickly these coins have moved up in price.
Yeah, we can't replace them for that.
And I'm telling you, they are I've never had seen one. You know, I've seen AUs. You know, we've seen the gradeds. We've seen the lower end ones, but I've never seen the BU brilliant uncirculated Morgan dollars, and especially pre-21
in a bag. Came in a bag.
They're pretty awesome.
Yeah, they've never been in circulation ever. So they just get banged up, So what's interesting, you can get a roll of 20 of them, but these are the ones that you see they spin on TV for 3 easy payments of $59.95. So, you can get one for $150. We don't do that here. So you can get a roll of 20 of them at $35 a coin, which is $700. And then a U.S. $20 gold piece. We'll put them together in a package for you, delivered at $2,700. If you want to put it on a credit card, add $75. Yep. $27.75. If you have credit card orders with us and it's not showing up on your transmittals, on your statements, or on your phone, it's because the banks are just completely swamped and everything, trying to get money and bailouts, and they don't know what they're doing. They're running on skeleton crews. The people that are left are minimum wage people. It's been very frustrating working with them. It's amazing what's happening in this country.
It really is. It's so difficult. Even like banks, they close at 4 o'clock.
You can't send a bank wire. You know how hard it is to you people that are home. You can't go into your.
We have now dedicated Monday as our day because it's too hard to do them. And so it's like, okay, listen, we're doing them all on Monday. Get them all out of the way. Wendy and I spend about 3 hours on Monday just doing bank wires. It's amazing what they've done. Quick look here. Like I said, the markets, the Dow's up 300. Gold's just turned positive at 1,710. Silver is back above $15 an ounce. Silver's up about 35 cents at 15.04. The big winner, though, crude oil today up 21%. This is what unlimited money printing will do.
Yeah, Eric nailed it
on that. We went from negative $38 a couple weeks ago. Crude oil just under $25.
This is 2 for Tuesday. I'll be back the second hour at 1360khnc.com. We've got Kara, one of our talk show hosts. She's doing a series on divorcing your cell phone, which is interesting. These are decisions people are going to have to make because everybody's being tracked. I got a $20 gold piece and a roll of just stunning Morgan dollars, $2,700 when they're gone. I don't know if we'll ever see a Morgan dollar again in this store. Hopefully we will. God bless everybody. Thanks for allowing us into your lives on this Cinco de Mayo. You guys don't get in any trouble. Stay out of the bars. God bless you all. I'll be back second hour. Stay with me. Coming up. Take care.